Squid Game Season 2 is balls to the walls amazing, being just as sensational as it is cryptic. It's loaded with moments and details that reveal exactly what we'll see in the third and final season.
This video will change the way you view the entire series.
As I present new information on Season 3 I guarantee you haven't seen. Hear all of the hidden secrets for the finale of Squid Game and you won't find this anywhere else. Number 1. The Food Game. There's a trailer on the Netflix France YouTube channel that shows an entirely new game. The guards are holding 3 covered food trays, and the trailer seems to focus around a character we know nothing about so far. With Gi Hun captured by the frontman, will the final season follow this new mysterious protagonist? At the end of the trailer, players 139, 321, and 211 are served what looks like a colorful burger, and the players look deeply worried. There are 2 possibilities here. This could be one of the final 3 games we'll see in Season 3, or maybe there's a 50-50 chance of dying from eating the pretty patties. This would go along with the show's theme of blind luck and chance, but there's another possibility that's even more frightening. It's already been foreshadowed through the art on the walls in the bunk room that the remaining 3 out of 6 games will include a game that looks similar to chess and a game that involves hanging. In the ending credits for Season 2, we saw a game with a train track that involves the red light green light doll, along with her boyfriend Cheol Su. None of these games appear to overlap or seem to involve food, which can only lead to one terrifying possibility. This is the feast given before the final match. Just like how in Season 1 the players were given a steak dinner before entering the last game. There were also 3 remaining players who made it to the dinner in Season 1, but this has a horrifying implication. If this is the feast before the final game, then these are the last and only surviving players, meaning that every other character we've seen in Season 2 so far will be taken out.
So what does this mean?
A multitude of fans think the last games could be Jack and Jill, Human Chess, and Monkey Bars, but the remaining games most likely have to be Korean games, since this has been the case for every other game in the series. The chess-like game is most likely based on the Korean strategy game Jangi, but I believe the players will be the actual pieces, and losing pieces means getting eliminated. Many fans believe the train track game will be the Squid Game version of Dongdaemun, where players form a train and travel under 2 players acting as a bridge. The red light green light doll and Cheol Su will undoubtedly serve as the bridge. When time runs out, anyone stuck inside will be eliminated. Another possibility is a Korean game literally known as the train track game and would look something like this. Let me know in the comments how you think this would work with the 2 dolls and the train track teased in the credits. What Korean game do you think the hanging game could be? If the last 3 games are the train track, a hanging game, and something similar to chess, then the pretty patties are actually the feast before the final match, which means players 139, 321, and 211 are the finalists in this round of games. Number 2. The deaths are foreshadowed. Every single main character in Season 1 had their death foreshadowed early on in the show. Se-byok threatened to cut the immigration broker's throat, and that's how Sang-woo took her out. Sang-woo was about to take his life in a bathtub and ended up doing that exact thing in the rain in the finale. Ali stole money from his boss and had his marbles stolen by Sang-woo. The gangster guy jumped off a bridge to avoid being attacked, and we know the annoying lady caused them both to fall to their deaths. She had mentioned how powerful she felt leaning backwards during tug of war. Just like how there were strong hints on how the main characters in Season 1 would die, I believe Season 3 will be no different. Thanos' friend will most likely take too many pills and die, or he'll lose them and go crazy, leading to his death. Deho will most likely die out of cowardice or refusing to make a decision. We were shown that the mother has a knife hidden in her hairpin. I'm certain there will be at least one game where players partner up in pairs of 2, and the son will probably abandon his mom again like he did during the carousel. But I believe his mom will take her life with the hairpin knife to save her son. The crazy shaman lady cursed Hyunju, the mother and the son, saying that they would die a painful death in front of her. But before this, I believe the stress from the games will cause MG Coin's ex-girlfriend to give birth. During the carousel game, the shaman lady told Gi Hun that he was brought to the games for a reason, then looked at MG Coin's ex-girlfriend with a look of reassurance as if she now understands. That baby represents hope and a new future, and maybe G-Man will sacrifice himself so the baby can live on. Number 3. What happened to Gi Hun? The last time we saw Gi Hun, he had to witness his closest friend get taken out in front of him and was then restrained. Maybe Gi Hun is made to watch the games and forced by the frontman to make heartbreaking decisions in an effort to break his spirit. Ho felt a great deal of satisfaction when Gi Hun said the players who would die in the overnight fighting are a necessary sacrifice for the greater good. I'm willing to bet that Ho wants to prove to Gi Hun that people are not worth saving in an effort to make Gi Hun into the next frontman. Another possibility is that G-Man is thrown back into the games. Keep in mind the Squid Games are a show for the spectators, and throwing the previous winner who led a rebellion back into the games would give the VIPs a wild experience. If Gilbert is thrown back into the games, the other players will assume he's been given special treatment and they'll lose all trust in him. During an interview with Jimmy Fallon, the actor who plays Gi Hun was asked if he'll become the next frontman and or be in charge of the games, and he said both yes and no. Do you think Gi Hun will abandon hope in mankind and become the next frontman? Or do you think he'll somehow disguise himself as the frontman to try and stop the games? It's also possible that Junho and the military guys rescue Gi Hun, and then G-Man forces the guards and VIPs to compete against each other with no real odds of winning. This would make for a psychotically delicious twist. Number 4. What are the frontman's motives? The frontman is absolutely carrying the show in terms of how mysterious and fascinating he is. Why did he join the games again? Why did he let G-Man live even after he started the rebellion? Ho is presented as the cold and ruthless villain.
But is this actually the truth?
We know his wife was dying from liver disease while carrying their baby. Ho joined the games in 2015 to save his family and was the last man standing. If you listened carefully, you'll know that when Junho visits the grave of Ho's deceased wife, the mother mentions it's the 5th year anniversary. We know season 2 takes place in 2023, meaning that Ho's wife passed away in 2018, a whole 3 years after Ho had won the games. For 3 long and agonizing years, Ho was still unable to save his wife even with all the prize money because she needed a liver transplant. When he realized that no one was willing to sacrifice themselves for an expecting mother, he stopped believing in humanity's benevolence. I believe the frontman stayed in the games and started the organ trading when he realized that money was not enough. This theory makes a lot of sense. After all, you don't just happen to have a false drop inside the incinerators. This was done intentionally and required a lot of money. Ho losing his wife despite his efforts explains why during the relay race he slapped himself and called himself useless. Ho feels like a failure for letting his wife pass away. After losing his wife and baby, on top of abandoning hope for humanity, he felt he had no reason to go home. The actor for the frontman admitted that Ho sees himself in Gi Hun, someone filled with hope and morals. Also, we know Ho lived in a small apartment despite having won the games, most likely for the same reason as Gi Hun. Survivor's guilt made him feel unworthy of spending the money. Maybe Ho also came back to the games with the goal of saving lives and stopping the games for good, but then he came to a bone-chilling realization that as long as there are people rich and bored enough to fund the games, and there are people desperate enough to participate, the games will never truly end. Ho even told Gi Hun that unless the world changes, the games won't stop. After realizing he couldn't stop the games, Ho stayed and chose the lesser evil, to at least make sure the games are conducted fairly. He failed at stopping the games and now he wants to mold Gi Hun to himself by getting him to believe the same thing. Gohan challenged the frontman at his own game at the beginning of season 2, and the actor for Ho also stated there's a part of the frontman who wants to prove to Gi Hun that humanity is selfish and greedy. I'm certain that G-Man's conviction that people are worth saving is stronger, and after proving this to Ho, I believe the same man who once donated his kidney to his brother will be brought back. The same man who spared his brother on the island will seek redemption for everything he's done by taking down the games, sacrificing himself in the process. On the other hand, after forcing Gi Hun to go through the games again and make gut-wrenching choices, maybe he succeeds in breaking Gi Hun's spirit. This would be the worst case scenario. The games continue, Gi Hun loses faith in humanity, and history repeats itself with Gi Hun becoming the next frontman. What do you think? Keep in mind about 90% of the drama in season 2 could have been completely avoided if Junho had just told Gohan that Ho was his brother and shown him a picture. Number 5. Was Deho actually a Marine? Many fans believe this is stolen valor and that he got a fake tattoo to make it seem like he was in the Marines. Dat Ho was visibly rattled during the rebellion, as if he had zero combat experience. Others believe he really was in the Marines but had a traumatic experience, which explains why he couldn't collect himself. This would also explain why he chose to stay in the bunk room during the rebellion instead of bringing back the ammo. The actor for Deho admitted that he wants to come across as a macho guy, but he's actually quite fragile, putting on armor to protect himself. We know his dad wanted him to join the Marines to be more manly, and we also know he accrued a large amount of debt. What if instead of joining the Marines, Deho got involved in some kind of betting, where he lost a lot of money and then got the tattoo to make it seem like he went to the Marines? What do you think? Number 6. The grand finale. Either Ho succeeds in turning Gilbert to the dark side in the most twisted and diabolical ending ever, or Gi Hun wins back the person that Ho was before becoming the frontman. Given everything the frontman has done, there's zero chance of him making it out alive. Depending on how much of Gi Hun's humanity slips away, he might be beyond redemption too. There's a chilling pattern here that connects Ho, Gi Hun, and Il Nam. All 3 of them chose their ambitions above being with their family. El Riz chose to leave behind his lover in pursuit of the games, and because of this, he died without any family at his side. The frontman abandoned his brother and his mom, and Gi Hun left behind his daughter to stop the games. This pattern suggests that the 2 most important characters in Squid Game might be destined to face the same fate as El Riz, to die alone. Maybe the series closes out with both Ho and Gi Hun sacrificing themselves by setting off the explosives mentioned in season 1, taking down everyone and everything. But one thing I know is that this is not the end for Squid Game. Maybe after successfully stopping the Hunger Games, Gi Hun Everdeen takes a flight to the United States to finally be with his daughter. But in a nut-busting twist, he sees a recruiter slapping someone at the airport, confirming that the games are going on around the world. The VIPs already revealed in season 1 that games are being held in other countries, and this ending would open up a spin-off series where either Gi Hun or an entirely new cast of characters would look to stop the games worldwide. Rumor has it that David Fincher, the director of Fight Club, is working on a project titled Squid Game America, which only furthers my theory for the ending.
There are secrets scattered throughout this incredible show, some of which I'm certain you didn't catch. watch. In no particular order, here are the hidden details you missed.
In the first episode of Season 2, during the montage looking for the recruiter, he was actually behind the two goons at one point, but they didn't notice. In episode 7, around the 22-minute mark, we can briefly see a cameraman in the shot. Was this a mistake that made it to the final cut of Season 2, or did a player somehow sneak in a giant camera without the guards noticing? Speaking of mistakes, there's no way Gi Hun should have known what the frontman looks like at the beginning of Season 2. He hadn't seen him before, so canonically this doesn't make sense. The frontman most likely ordered the sea captain to save his brother immediately after sending him off the cliff, mainly because the captain said he's been sailing for 30 years, the same amount of time the games have been going on. Also, I'm certain the police are getting paid to not investigate the games, since a large number of people have been disappearing locally, but no one is putting in effort to stop the games. In an interview on the Wired YouTube channel, the cast confirmed the games take place on Seonggak-do, a small, hard-to-find island in the Yellow Sea. Let's hope Junho watches this video before Season 3. The X's vs O's and Red vs Blue is a social commentary on binary politics, like Democrats versus Republicans. The director confirmed being fascinated by how a decision between two options creates divide, even though everyone belongs to the same larger group. The masks worn throughout Squid Game have more significance than you think. The players have no masks, showing how low-ranking and vulnerable they are. The guards wear uniform masks, showing how they're all part of a system. But did you notice that each of the VIPs' masks are unique, and they even carry meaning in terms of personality? Our boy Il-nam wears the owl mask, which is the symbol for knowledge. This beautifully conveys how El Riz knew the whole truth the entire time, given that he was the original founder of the games. Squid Game also tackles the illusion of equality. The games are portrayed as fair and equal, but both Il-nam and In-ho had a clear advantage throughout the games. When the doctor conspired with the organ donors to learn the games ahead of time, he was quickly dispatched for trying to carve an advantage. This is an allegory for how the rich find ways to get ahead while staying out of trouble, but the poor are swiftly punished for trying to do the same thing.
I want to know what you think.
Are there any unanswered questions, secrets, or hidden messages I didn't cover here? How excited are you for the finale of the most watched show on Netflix of all time? Share this video and tell the director of Squid Game has no choice but to give us a Season 4.
Make sure to geek out in the comments and check out one of these delicious videos.